Today's guest has had a huge influence on my music. It's the one and only Dyke Parks. I think the word genius is banded around all too often and all too easily nowadays, but for Dyke, I think it's pretty appropriate. Dyke has released some of my favourite albums, from Song Cycle to Jump to an amazing live record called Moonlighting Live at the Ash Grove, which everyone should check out along with all his other music. Not only is he a brilliant composer, he's also a brilliant arranger. The list of artists he's worked with is incredible, from the Beach Boys to Silverchair to Joanna Newsom to Ry Cooder to Harry Nilsson. I could go on forever. On the podcast we talked about a plethora of different subject matters. Plethora. It's an odd word when you say it, plethora. Anyways, one of the projects Dyke said he's working on is with a harpist and poet called Veronica Valerio, which I really look forward to. I didn't tell Dyke this, but when I was younger I emailed him and asked him for advice on orchestral arranging. He kindly emailed me back, and I was so delighted I printed out the email and stuck it on my wall. It shows how much of a sweet person he is, because he took time out of his day to email me, and I always appreciated that. Actually, this music that's playing over is a song called Miss You by Me, which was inspired by Dyke's work on Jump, that kind of colour within the sound. Not saying I can do what Dyke does, but God loves a trier. Thank you very much to Dyke for coming on the podcast. I really appreciated his time. It was such an honour to speak to him. Dyke is such an original person. I probably could have talked to the man for hours and never get bored, because he has so many stories and they're so interesting. And lastly, go check out his music, and if you like it, buy it. Bella Union actually did really cool reissues of his albums a few years ago, and it comes with a CD, which is cool because I still like CDs. Not that many people do anymore, but CDs are cool, and vinyl is cool. If you want to check Dyke out on Twitter, it's the Dyke Parks, or if you want to check him out on Instagram, it's Parks Dyke. Thank you and enjoy. Hello.
Hello, Paul.
Hey Dyke, how are you?
Very well.
Can you
Where
hear?
are you?
Yes. I'm in Ireland. I can.
Well, then everything seems to be working. Kids today, they do everything.
Well, I'm not a kid anymore, unfortunately.
It's already mixed. It's in China on rack jobs. You can't keep up with this Melia guy, you know? They put it's a saint here and a saint there, and I mean, but this is special. Guy is way ahead of the curve.
Unfortunately, no.
There was a person who was not considered a prophet that I just love to quote about this virus, and God, the allegory or the reality, not being so amused by human hubris, comes down with a virus which is mindless, that dominates the people, and to add insult to injury. There was a writer by the name of Luke. Now, recently somebody said that it looks like Jesus' mother might have written it, because it is in Aramaic and in fact uses words that were only used by females. I dig it. So this is just to confuse us further, okay? And the quote is this, because you keep thinking about man in crisis. It's tragic, it's comic, it's Buster Keaton, it's Charlie Chaplin, it's all those things. But here it is, man in crisis, in fact. And it just, to me, it's like a Mel Brooks movie when he looks up to the heavens and says to God, "You're so strict." So God is not amused, obviously.
Yeah.
And in Luke, it says he warns people about this, that things can get severe. He says, "He hath scattered the proud in the imagining of their hearts, and the rich he hath sent empty away." This is to let people know that things can get very serious. And in the United States, we are fed this pablum of all possibilities. And there's never been, we have not experienced a potato famine. Yeah, we don't know about this stuff. And we experienced a depression, but it was quickly consigned to the dustbins, its lessons not applying. But So I think we're in tough times, and I just wanted to say that, and I'm very grateful for your interest in my work or whatever it is, or maybe you're here to convict me. I have no idea.
Both. No, no, no. I love your work. Yeah, it's just amazing. I could go on forever. I have all your records and anything you've done. I remember when I was in Dublin before, when I was young, 15 or 6, no, 16 or 17, 17, maybe 17. Anyways, and we had gone on a trip, and we happened to go into a record shop, and I had seen your record Song Cycle, and I had no money, and I lived 4 hours away from Dublin. So the next day I came back, I got a bus to Dublin and bought your record and came back home. So it took me 8 hours, but I was like, because you could never get a lot of records around where I lived, so I was like, I was so happy with myself. I got Song Cycle.
Oh, that's great. Well, I had fun doing that. I really did. I always enjoy working.
Mm.
I mean, I don't think that I'm not in. It's not a state of ecstasy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a state of discovery. Because I really believe that. I don't know from what Chinese philosopher, I think it was Lao Tse, but it could have been Confucius, said, the way cannot be told, the way must be found.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not very much solace for musicians these days,
No.
because in fact, we are all in jeopardy. It's a fact. And this compulsion to have a laugh track with everything, to make sure that everybody's feeling happy all the time, is losing. It's like being on a broad target medicine for some. A lot of people were given these great pills that kept them from being depressed, and it kept them from being happy too, and their emotional elasticity was zero.
Mm-hmm.
I say we don't need. I want the happy ending. I do. I want that when I pay for a picture. It's got to have a happy ending and at least one sympathetic character.
Mm.
And I try to govern my own affairs like that. When I do my work, it's just because it just keeps me from having to face the ugly reality. A lot of people are in isolation now, in Ireland as well, I should think.
Yeah, we went into a lockdown again.
Well, yeah, I've got a new song for the stay-at-home blues. Fever, ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Getting to know me, getting to know all about me. I've had it with me. I mean, I really would like to see somebody else. So to me, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed is king. And I mean, you're an absolute hero for the day. You've raised the fund meter considerable.
Well, there's a nice story I heard that could cheer people up, is that during the famine in Ireland, the Native Americans sent Ireland over money. And in America, at this time, the Native Americans were struggling with the coronavirus. So we sent them money over to help them out during the coronavirus. So I thought that was a lovely thing to do.
Yes, I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
And this stuff about Ireland is very a dynamic, a beautiful part of the fabric of American homogeneity.
Mm-hmm.
There's the president-elect.
Mm-hmm.
I see a little bit of the Blarney in him.
There's posters everywhere where we live, because he visited 20 minutes away from where I am. So there's things. His family are all in a place called Ballina. So there's just
what do they say? That he didn't kiss the stone, he ate it. He ate it. So, but so I'm very delighted about that. I really love that component, and I did, of course, in Kennedy as well.
When I first got to know you, I got into just a bit before Diorama by Silverchair came out, and I just happened to get into that record, and I was like, this arrangements were amazing, and I was like, who did these arrangements? And then at the same time, I had got into the Beach Boys, and then I found out you did stuff with Brian Wilson and Smile. So that was a big thing for me, your music, when I was like 17 or 18, because everyone was listening to like metal music, and I'm listening to like Jump and all this kind of stuff, and it was, which for me it was just like I'm always trying to escape life, and for me your music has this just amazing quality to.
Well, I think escapism is a very important a device, and but all to me, music is absolutely, in essence, fundamentally escapist because it takes you beyond the word, beyond the thought, supposedly. I think it does. It of course ignites thoughts, but it can also be offer transparency and a place away from chaos. And when you talk about, I think what you were alluding to is you started out when you got through Diorama and so forth, and the Beach Boys thing, and then you maybe it took a turn from this hard evidence of the rock reality, okay, rock and roll, which some people think has teeth. Other people can see it as toothless because really it has spent its rage to no avail. So, which just brings me to, I'm sorry, this is what I do to govern myself. I stay within the advisory of Phil Oakes, my late great friend Phil Oakes. In such ugly times, the only true protest is beauty. So I believe that. I agree with Phil, a late lamented Phil Oakes.
Yeah.
In such ugly times, the only true protest is beauty.
That is so true.
And so the idea, but I mean, that doesn't have to be mawkish. Doesn't have to lose its reality, the rugged reality, the blood on the tracks are still in that element of that long trip down the rails. And most of the pictures that really matter to me that are derived from books, etc., A Christmas Story, for example, Please, Sir, May I Have More, Scrooge the Repentant, Take the Bible, Christ Turning Over the Tables, are because I don't shy from what I think is very dark about life. Jump, for example, came in the face of the fact that I knew that there was a possible entertainment for multiple audiences, black and white. And I did not want to see American folklore consigned to some Southern nursery because that would be stupid. It would be stupid not to learn from history. I think Confederate general statues should definitely be taken off the streets and moved into the museums. But I remember the word when I learned it, I thought it was a great word that somebody got a verb named for him. No, his name wasn't Google. It was Bowdler. Bowdlerism. Mr. Bowdler came along in Victoria's reign and decided to clean up this in the Bible. Clean it up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm telling you, man, I don't know what I think. They got a frocking in the Garden of Eden. They got a talking to. So I guess there goes the Song of Solomon. Thy breasts are like minnows among the rushes. No, forget it. Get the Song of Solomon out of here. But so, no, I'm saying that, but essentially in all of these things that appeal to me, there is an underlying conflict or something of importance. But the idea then is to try to encapsulate it as best as I can, both musically and maybe lyrically. And certainly do the same thing for anybody else, because I really do believe that your best work is beyond yourself. It's when you find collaboration with people. And that doesn't mean you all have to get together in a room and pat each other on the back and come up with a camel. No, it's just not that. I think that collaboration provides well, demands the monastic alternative too. You you end up holding the bag. I mean, I put a great deal of importance in what I do. I agonize, and it's just stupid. And it would have been a lot more sensible for me to go into marine biology and maybe get a shrimp farm off Maine. I don't know.
Hey, not for us. Come on, your music is, you know, does that always give you a lot of happiness when you find, I'm from such a small, tiny place, and there's people in tiny places and big places and small places that listen to your music. It's such a.
Well, I am too. I'll tell you something. I am from a very small place, and it's incredible as you get older. You realize, as people die around you, that you may be the only person who is remembering a vanishing fact, something essential for the Rosetta Stone that will save humanity. You've got something, and you lose corroborative that people say, yes, sir, I'm a witness to that. This is why culture rockers all rehearse their ancient victories. Nobody gives a damn. You can't get this. Ry Cooder once asked me to take a CD. He said, 20 years ago, Ry Cooder, the inestimable, the giant of the guitar, it was on the front wave of the guitarists who used the vernacular of Delta blues so beautifully, seamlessly in his case, because he's been doing it since he was a child. But it came natural to him. You could feel that. But the thing is, works of these protesters that I've been around, trying to do beautiful things in such ugly times, are vanishing, and that to me is a shame. And so I feel free of guilt in participating with you about rehearsing these old victories. I mean, I recall I had enough money to hire one cellist for Sam Phillips when she recorded a thing called "Wasting My Time." One cello. I put 3 lines on for him, and he played them, and she just gave me a voice and a guitar, and then she got the cellos back, and she axed the guitar. So what you hear there is a reflection of her original guitar. Same thing happened to me with an Inara George, I-N-A-R-A. Inara George, where she did voice and then guitar. I get him on a laptop, and 3 weeks later brought her back an album. Wow. But she dumped the guitar. Now the thing is, the rhythms that I put into the string sections, and I use 7 different lines when I write a string section. So 3 violins, 2 violas, 1 cello, 1 bass, and a dedicated pizzicato bass. Mm-hmm. It's what I use for an aura. But so you just hear the mirror image of my intention, which goes to show you that you're not in charge. You don't put your feet on the joystick. You try to stay there. Don't let the horizon fool you when you're seeking a flight pattern.
Yeah.
So, but there is a point where you are not in charge. So many things afflict the musician that the common, excuse me, the word for employee, corporate hack, I don't know the word to look for, the person with a reliable income.
Yeah.
That is, who is not in the arts for an occupation.
Philistine,
beyond the comprehension of such people.
Yeah.
I see so many people, look, I'm 77. I see so many people who are just going ape because they are retired. Mm. Officially, they've got golden parachutes. Maybe they have too much money. Maybe they're trying to figure out how to get rid of their money
Yeah.
or trying to figure out why they got their money the way they did, or something. And
Yeah.
who knows? But these are the perplexed people around me. They don't understand
Hmm.
what a musician does with every sweep of the pen is to make him or herself absolutely unnecessary, out of a job. You write yourself out of a job. When you complete a song, the job's over. You have to reinvent yourself
Yeah.
right away. I mean, there's nothing like it. So the point is, we have, those of us who are in music are used to that. We are used to being dispensable. Look
Hmm.
what they've done to us with Spotify.
Oh, it's shocking.
I mean, come on. I'm sorry. It is my firm belief, and I'm sorry to repeat myself. I feel so redundant. But this is what I am, in this case, chronologically, becoming a front axle in what I observed.
Hmm.
And so I must say that we, yeah, we have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn, and it's not pleasing to me that we have forgotten that the arts are here to instruct the politicians.
Hmm.
The politicians are not here to instruct the arts. That's stupid. Once again, we don't want to go to Stupidville. I don't want to do that. But this is why I think it's what I do when I'm writing about getting screwed in the back seat of a Chevy, which is very important, sexual conquest. It's very important. Uh, um, and I'm thinking about climate crisis, and I'm thinking about the on-demand American audience, which won't settle down and mask up and go away and shut up. I'm thinking about the first world and its assumptions about the others.
Yeah.
And how that has come to haunt the sanity of capitalism and the system as we see it. I believe that we need to be always revolutionary. I am a son of the American Revolution. My people, the Dutch people, the Van Dykes, been on this continent since 1642.
Wow.
We go back. The Parkses, land grant from William Pitt the Elder, from George II to the Parkses. He didn't tell them it was Cherokee land, but a little complication there. They had to learn some Cherokee, but they did learn some Cherokee, and they wrote down the names of the grasses.
Wow.
My ancestors. It's there and sits there at the farm still to this day. Now I don't need to be told anything about and a private park served a General Stewart, and there were more people. I am a son of the American Revolution. That revolution is incomplete, right?
Yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
as it is incomplete, and it is as dynamic as justice, and we have a lot we need to do. So my point being in all of this, I think it's good to try to deliver some depth charges in your songs, in the song form. I'm not embarrassed about that. This is very important to me. And if you can do it light-handedly, surreptitiously, and still open up the hearts and minds of the dispossessed and vulgar that are killing us all.
Yeah.
At the steering wheel, we are but passengers to this great system.
Do you think there's much room nowadays for within the contents of commercial music? Because everything just seems very vapid and very McDonald's-esque.
No, it's decorative. It's decorative. The dumbing of America has become the dumbing of the world because America is that insistent on its cultural importance. They call it culture.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is, in processing this. I, at this point, I am now doing a. Can I talk about me?
Talk about as much as you want. That's what we're here for.
Because we don't want to waste. We don't want to waste time, and I just have to give evidence of what my present effort is. So since March 15th of this year, we've been in quarantine. My wife and I at this house. What do? Well, since October last, I was asked to do a record and from a harpist poet of the Yucatan in the southern peninsula of Mexico.
Cool.
In an area that is dominated by a pyramid culture history, the Mayan temples, largest temples preceding Egypt by thousands of years, and mathematically incredible, complex society, social order, and that hid there in the jungles for so long. So there it is. I got to listen to some music, and it's just the harpist and the harp and voice, and a great opportunity to surround the harpist, who's beautiful poetry, and incredible poetry, which translates well, and then the harp is good, and then I surround that with an orchestra.
Lovely.
And then I surround it with an orchestra, and in doing so, and I have finished enough to have an album deal. I start out with an EP very shortly with 4 tunes. That's my understanding. I think that's what the contract calls for. We're not talking Madonna here. I'm just talking about getting the costs back, because I do pay people, and when I record, I don't pay anybody to sit down and play for less than $100 an hour. It's just not what I do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't ask a doctor to do it for nothing. Plumbers get paid in advance. Come on, let's be nice. So I try to do that. I try to keep people off my back, and I try to keep a clear conscience.
Mm.
But to break even, to me, is at the age of 77 in these sultry, stingy times, and through no fault of the present organizers who are working in a dissembled industry called what's left of it. No.
Did you ever get into like sample strings or any of that kind of stuff?
Oh well, I excuse me. We're different. That's different. But you don't. But let's not lose sight of this particular aim. Mm. Yes, I did. And if you look up Moog, Moog.
Oh, I was going to ask you, when you played the first prototype.
Well, yeah. So there's right in there. So yeah, with the things from that sound, from white noise, try it.
Yeah.
Try to get the thing to say "mama" or "pop."
Yeah.
Hard. In those days, you're used to it. You go to a market and they say, "Please take the ticket." Artificial voice. But in those days, that was out there, and so I was on the edge.
Yeah.
Where I enjoy having such a superior sight line to what's really happening in the center.
Mm.
And so I've been doing this project, and it is incredible, and you should look for it. The name of the girl is Veronica Valerio.
Brilliant.
Veronica Valerio, and there's nothing yet, but there will be soon. And it's a co-bill. We're doing it together, and I'm so happy about it because I want to go out and play.
Yeah.
And I can play on some of this music. It's incredible stuff.
Oh, brilliant.
No. The thing is to seek refuge outside of the first world perspectives. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to hear this. Why rehearse if I just claw at these old wounds and nurture all these, the present tense, nurturing it like a serpent to our breasts. No, get rid of the goddamn snake.
Yeah.
And and try to broaden our scope. That's what songs are supposed to be doing. Now this girl in her poetry, let me tell you what she says. She says, outside her window, she's just looking outside her window where she lives, and outside her window there are people walking by, and they're holding their shoes, but they're holding their shoes, they're barefoot, they're holding their shoes because they've been walking so long north that their shoes are useless, and they're carrying contraband, and they're going north. And then there's the mountain, and I can see the mountain, and down the mountain courses the river, and in the river is the blood of my ancestors and my father and my brothers. Chorus, it's a beautiful sky. And, so she's all over the place with this things of supreme unimportance and a world which we needn't observe, but for reasons of my own, like, whatever, advancement and understanding, I must pursue this kind of a dislocated evidence of great humanity. It's not born of a corporate directive. It doesn't fit in the stamp. Van Dyke, who wants to call a folk hero of the 60s who's got a poetry project with music from Mexico? I don't think we're going to take that call. So tell Mr. Parks I'm on the phone with James Bond. Anyway, so the odds, or as my wife said, I get it. We're not going to make a dime out of this one either. So, but it is the best job I've ever done.
Really? Oh, wow.
Period.
Oh.
The best job. The most, that is the most streamlined development of my constant meanderings toward orchestrating, that is, bringing into literature, preserving folk idioms, music that's absolutely rusticated, real rust up there, a lot of rust. And this is my joy. And this is what I've been doing, staggering toward this.
Yeah.
Always looking. Even you talked about the smile thing with Brian Wilson. What I had in common with him, we'd both heard some hymns.
Yeah.
Truly, I'm telling you, in barbershop and so forth. But we'd both heard some hymns, some low church stuff. So the point is, I think you can use your own language to get out of the box, but you can also go out of the box. Now, I didn't take the trip to India with the Beatles and so forth. I never did that. I've always liked Western music. I like chords and stuff. I like chords, a past of harmony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really work very hard to keep deceptive and very clever with these old articles of faith that I use. I believe in that stuff. You look at the work of I think the best arrangement or recording I ever did for the Rock Arena would be in the Little Feat Spanish Moon remix is the one to get on YouTube. I think that shows you what to do with one chord. I like what I did in the to develop Olive Oil and Popeye with Shelley Duvall, with the string arrangement of Shelley Duvall. So goofy, so elastic, and so proper to the gestures of the character. Songs can do that.
Mhm.
And the nice thing about a song, you can become that person in that song, but you don't have to stay there. Some people decide to.
Mhm.
They become the persona. I decided not to do that. I did not want to do that to me. I didn't even want to be known. I wanted to find a way to make a living recording music without this star, whatever, this constant grasp for recognition.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could just get paid to do this stuff? And in fact, every garbage day, which today was, take out the trash. And my wife says, Ludwig, and what it is, Ludwig, quit suffering with your symphony, take out the trash. So Ludwig, that's all she has to say. Ludwig, I know, kids, take out the trash. So yeah, so we're not, there's nothing but exalted about my position at the age of 77. I've had a wonderful run with great opportunity. I've never be able to thank Bella Union label in the UK for putting out the Super Chief LP.
It's a great record.
That was so nice of them to do that, because it didn't matter to anybody.
I love
Didn't
that
matter
record.
to anybody. Didn't matter, and like them all, but they sync with like Stones. But you see, if you look here, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh.
The pictures of the gentlemen that I traveled, the 28 men I traveled with on those buses.
Oh, there's Discover America.
Yep. So and the buses on Discover America, you'll notice one of them, because there was a cataclysmic bus crash, and I was desperately looking for money for 28 men and their hotel bills and things like that, dear. Okay, I was making a secretarial salary. It was a very difficult time. I came up with that record called Discover America. I went through the South with them, the South of the United States, and I discovered America. Let me tell you,
It's a great record.
I discovered America when I went through the South with those black men, like I never imagined. And the buses I had them airbrushed of photorealistic buses, but on one of them has a mistake on it. It is the bus to the left of the Greyhound. The one on the right is a Continental Trailways. I was hoping one of those companies would supply us a bus, and the finest steel band ever recorded, and the finest recording of any steel band I've ever heard on vinyl was crushed with that bus accident.
Yeah.
And we never got the financing to keep them intact. So that was a good moment. So what do I say to that? I say we had an incredible culture collision, a wonderful event, a great record ensued. I learned a hell of a lot. I reflected on their music and their cultural reflection on us. It was fun. And it was all part of a naughty little thing that was to be called World Beat. So anyway, I've had enough, haven't I? Had a good opportunity.
Oh, you've had some great opportunities. That record you did with the Mighty Sparrow is amazing.
Well, it's the best. It is the best recorded calypso record there is.
Good.
It's not. That is not to say my favorite calypso songs, but the best. And Warner Brothers, of course, didn't know what to do with him. But it was in the middle of a hurricane. We recorded a calypso album. We tracked it. That is the band, on all of the pieces in one day. We didn't know whether we would go down to Port of Spain or airboat some equipment down there, or record the group, bring the group to the U.S. So we brought them to Miami. I don't know, maybe there were like under 20, but a good sized group. And the hurricane came over exactly over the studio. We were on generators our own generator. Power's gone. We're on generators. The studio. Criterion Studios. A lot of Crosby, Stills, and Nash stuff there and so forth. Miami, whatever, this, that, and the other stuff. And they bent over backwards to give us exacting every possible fail-safe consideration in the middle of a hurricane. Wow. The rain was horizontal, whipping to the right. I mean, an immense amount of energy and a roar, like a locomotive when you just crack the door. Then, in an hour, all was silent, absolutely still. The sun was out. And then the same thing happened in the reverse. And the rain now dashed to the left. Man, I'm telling you. You know, 140 miles per hour. So, so here I'm 77. I'm wondering if somebody's going to believe this story. There is a person who can remember, because I ran into her when I was at a party with Joe Walsh for Joe Walsh's birthday, and that and the other. It's like I told my friend Ringo Starr, don't you hate it when people name drop? So. The thing is, I was sitting next to this woman, and it turns out it's David Crosby's wife, Jan. And I knew that David had, worked, down in Miami because my mother's uncle founded the University of Miami in 1924. So anyway, so I'm talking with this girl about Miami, and I said, oh, I got a hurricane. And she said, I managed that studio where you recorded. We stood at the door. So there is someone alive who can tell you that that is not a lie.
I believe you. Don't worry. I won't get her on the podcast.
So very important.
How did it go about to get the re-release of Orange Crit Art on vinyl?
Somebody wanted to do it.
Beautiful.
Somebody wanted to do it. Brad Rosenberger, he had worked at Warner Music. He saw it coming. As a matter of fact, he remembered how I worked on that.
Yeah.
And I did work on it. I mean, I got the, what I think is wonderful is that I got the string quartet, which Warner Music had in a cardboard box in a warehouse, a string quartet called Gershwin's Lullaby, turned down, refused. They didn't have it in a musical. They turned it down. It had never been played. I got that when he said, we found this Gershwin thing, and I got a copy of that thing and had it orchestrated by my good friend, Fred Myro, composer and resident for the New York Philharmonic at the time. He's now dead. But Fred orchestrated, and that was the first orchestration and first recording of the Gershwin Lullaby. Uh-huh. So the record is valid.
It's a beautiful record. I love that record.
Isn't that fun?
It's got just the vibe of it and the color of it. That's what I love about your music. There's something so kind of, the colors in your music. I just love the way you orchestrate things, and it's.
Well, I'm very interested in lines. Mm-hmm. Bass is bass and so forth. Mm-hmm. No, and I have take no pride in what I come up with, but I tell you, what I come up with is the object of great work and curiosity, and the fact that I don't have it down. I have no formula. I haven't figured it out. I don't have a 5-year plan, but I just give evidence. Just look at the big picture here. I'm 77. I'm not a football player. I don't have to go out and scrimmage again. I don't have to deliver a googly or deal with one. Life is a snap. I'm 77. I can sit here at my computer. Yes, I sequence all kinds of synthetic sounds, and I press send, and I get the copied works played live with a bowing arm, with real people. Good. Horizontally intact, remote, long distance love. It's happening now.
It's amazing.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm doing to make even.
Yeah.
To taste some glory. and I'm very fearful of the arts. And but I don't want to celebrate my fear. What I want to celebrate right now is that you know his truth is marching on. Okay. Fact is, truth is beauty. That's all you need to know. That's all there is. Was that an Irish poet who said that? I believe so.
We've a lot of them. We've a lot of them. Did
That truth is beauty. Is that maybe Percy Bysshe Shelley? I don't know.
Oh, that's Shelley.
It's a Keats and Shelley.
Oh, did you write the arrangements for Jump, or was it Lenny Niehaus?
Lenny did all the orchestrations.
Mm-hmm. How come you didn't do them?
Because first of all, because Lenny Niehaus was a superior musician, and I saw that he could use that validation. He once called me up. He called me up, and Lenny Niehaus, whose father was the first violist for the St. Louis Symphony, a world-class symphony. Lenny Niehaus, who did all of the things for Stan Kenton, the great big band leader, Lenny Niehaus would do the scores on the bus with no piano or anything. He'd turn the page and remember where he left the flute. You know what I'm saying?
That's impressive.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
And anyway, he called me up once. He said, Van Dyke, you made a big problem for my life. Lenny Niehaus would do, maybe 12 play on, play off for the Academy Awards, and then maybe the Super Bowl, the halftime, whatever. What do you want? Orchestrate, spend a life orchestrating for sniveling, hummers. People want to haunts the hummer. Various composers saying lush and full. Lush and full? What is it you're giving me? What is full? Anyway, it takes a lot to be an orchestrator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I saw that, and when I got in the position of being able to hire a composer, either hiring myself or hiring somebody else to take the money and run, I decided to give it to Lenny. So I made him a composer. So Lenny was a composer. And so it was great. He was getting films.
That's cool.
I got him the agent. It was great. This old man, maybe 15 years my senior. Who needs me? I owed it to him. I didn't hesitate a second.
Yeah.
I gave him an opportunity. And in so doing, I learned a hell of a lot.
That's beautiful.
Just by watching.
Wow.
And he called me up once and he said, Van Dyke, you made my life miserable. I said, well, why was that, Lenny? He said, well, you see, Bob is the agent, Bob White. He said, now that I'm a composer, I'm so important that, Bob won't let me take any arranging jobs. And I don't have any work. I'm out of work. But he got it back. He got a spate of things with Clint Eastwood and this, that, and the other until Clint Eastwood thought he was a composer. But anyway.
We won't go into that.
Yeah. So believe me, why, Lenny? I'll tell you why. I've spent my life surrounding myself with superior talents. This is what we should do.
Mm-hmm.
Go out. Don't be threatened by somebody who might have a prevailing preemptory opinion,
Mm-hmm.
No, I knew Steve Stills was going to take both of the orange juices before I woke up in the morning, but he was still my guest. I mean, I can see the levels of aggression in show business that I'm glad aren't in the munitions industry.
Mm-hmm.
People have got to be noticed and important. But on the flip side of that disc is this reality. If you surround yourself with greater talents, reinventing yourself, maybe even taking a role you didn't expect. I mean, all my life I studied music, and Brian Wilson hired me to write some words that I got in trouble for. This is what happens. So, but if you're flexible and, don't get too hung up with your agenda, you might find yourself in these incredibly instructive things, which you might even get a pinstripe suit someday and apologize that you've got a Lexus or a Tesla or anything
I'll settle for a bike.
or a fourth wife. you know. But anyway,
Were you making an album with Daniel Johns? Or did you make an album with Daniel Johns? Or did you finish that album with Daniel Johns? I read somewhere you were making an album with him.
well, I did too. Worked on two.
No, I mean a record with him, you just the two making a record.
Oh, he hasn't suggested that.
Oh, I don't know where I read that.
But I love him, really love him, and we are communicative.
Oh,
We communicate. I've talked with him last week, I would think.
he's a talented guy.
Oh no, he's amazing talent. And but I think if it really occurs to him, I mean, I want to work with him again. I expect to.
Yeah.
I think I will somehow. But you see, it's so inconvenient to meet, to do arrangements for somebody who's in Sydney. That's what we said. And then so the second one, I said, let's go to Prague. We went to Prague. Don't get it. You're not going to find a banjo player there, but you might find some other great stuff.
Yeah.
Cymbalum, for example, which I've used a lot. I used cymbalum for great dramatic effect. I asked Lenny to use it when I used the Hungarian minor in a piece called Invitation to Sin in Jump. Invitation to Sin is the reason that Jump didn't get nominated for Best Children's Album.
Oh, why is that?
Because they thought it was too seductive.
Oh, come on.
It's a madam. Yeah, I'm serious. Oh yeah. So anyway, hey, check it. It doesn't matter. It all instructs. Every bit of it instructs somehow. But no, I'm very happy about because there was a time when it mattered that if you couldn't genre hopping. The rock and roll press came out with a genre hopping expression. I love that. That was almost like smarmy or what? Compelling. I love that word. When something's compelling. Music critics, of course, are as amusing to me as they were to Frank Zappa. Talking about it is like dancing about architecture. It's impossible to really say anything, but I have attempted to restore your faith in some way, because there's so much beyond the power of the purse. I'm going to whine about that because I'm a blue-collar guy. Don't let the foes fool you. But I'm really, I'm here to dispense with the niceties and try to make something of really durable value. And in that, it has to be mutually empowering, and it has to be a product of great encouragement. And I'm willing to lie, cheat, and steal to make that happen.
Well, Van Dyke, I better let you go because I've taken up your time, and I just want to say your music has meant so much to me, and it's an honor to talk to you. I'm so happy to be able to thank you for your time. It's
very kind, and you too. So if you ever feel that there's something that I might say or do to make a difference, a positive difference in your standing, you let me know.
Oh, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much.
We do that here.
You're a beautiful soul.
Nary a daunt. I'm waiting for our first pub crawl.
Hey, I actually seen you in Dublin. I went to see you in Dublin. when you played in the
My
bun.
hall. No, listen, in Dublin. Listen, when I got off the stage, and because I mentioned Winston Churchill,
Yeah.
whom my mother's uncle knew,
Wow.
my mother's uncle gave him his only honorary doctoral degree.
Oh.
My mother's uncle. That was when he came to make the speech about the Iron Curtain.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Listen, you wouldn't believe it. I've got people in my family. I've got people. But Bono said to me, he said, you really stepped on it on that one. I said, what? He said, Churchill is not very popular here. So he said, come back to the hotel. So come back to the hotel. And I did, because it was raining cats and dogs. And it was no regalia after the show. And I said, Hall of Fame was now the Hall of Shame. Now, nobody was there until he came in with, like 10 people there in this huge place. And he came in with maybe 20. So we did a good set anyway.
Yeah.
And we did a good set anyway, the three of us. And then get to the hotel and to drinks and drink and more drinky winky. And then so back to the hotel and back to the Fleabag Hotel. Not the Colonnade. I forget the name of the thing. But he gave me an umbrella. Bono gave me an umbrella. This big rock and roll star gave me the biggest umbrella I've ever held. I folded it up. Let me tell you something. I went through so many changes getting it through airport security, the whole bit. Now that could be a projectile. We'll have to check it. So anyway, finally and I've got the umbrella at home. I've got it to this day. An umbrella given to me by the famous rock and roll star from Ireland, Bono.
Wow.
Okay? So when in Pasadena one day, I couldn't wait. It never rains in Southern California. My good friend Michael Hazelwood, who wrote a tune on that, what do you call that record? Orange Crater. And I opened up the umbrella, and it was huge, and it was big enough for my wife and me.
Brilliant. And
it said Bank of Ireland. So stolen the goddamn umbrella. So anyway, I'm going to talk to the Pope about this later. Well, you be well.
You too. Thank you, Van Dyke.